Good morning everyone and welcome to my channel English Literature. Today I'll finish Sidney, I promise, certainly. And my son, I just want to show you something. This is my son just give me this as 5th September's gift, Teacher's Day. Can you see this? And it is the back part. Here it is written, to my best teacher. And you have to see this here in this way. Here it is written Happy Teacher's Day, and again you have to fold it this way, and here it is written thanks for being such great teacher. Can you see this? Okay, and this is the card he has made for me. I just want to share because he will be inspired and he will make more of them for me and for others. Now Sidney number 3, and in this video I will finish it. An Apology for Poetry. Sidney wrote an apology for poetry in 1579-1580. It was not published until 1595, 9 years after his death. In the same year, another edition was published, titled The Defense of Poesy. So, an apology for poetry and the defense of poesy are same, just under two different titles. In this essay, Sidney demonstrates the power of poetry since classical times and expresses confidence in the English language. It is his most popular work and it boosts the confidence of writers, particularly poets. And it is also very important for literary theory. And with Sidney's apology for poetry, actually literary criticism started, you can say. And Sidney responds in the work to an emerging antipathy to poetry as expressed by Stephen Gosson in his The School of Abuse. So Sidney's defense of poetry was actually the answer to Stephen Gosson's The School of Abuse. This is the important points, and other note you can read. Just if you want to make a note on apology for poetry, then you will find, you can read in details the note, and but the marked part, yellow color, black colored, it may show in video. Those are for important information, like Stephen Gosson's The School of Abuse. Sidney's defense is a justification of literature as a legitimate pleasure. Poetry is an incentive to the practice of virtue. Sidney highlighted the important aspect that proved the reputation and significance of poetry in the upbringing of human civilization. So poetry is not demoralizing us. Poetry is actually practicing us to virtue, moralizing us. In the classical age, poetry was acknowledged as an art's light giver. In Rome, poets were called poets, means prophets. In Greece, they are called poetan. Poetan means maker, those who can make something. Sidney compares poetry with other occupations. This is very important part, like astronomers, musicians, physicians. The poet, though not tied to a particular subject, imagines things from a broader perspective. He has the scope vast from other subjects. The subjects of poetry goes beyond nature, as a poet can imagine everything. He is the maker of makers. That is the most important thing. The poets are the maker of makers. Sidney refers to two definitions of poetry from the two most famous theologians from classical history, Aristotle and Horace. Sidney reinterprets them according to his own theory. For Aristotle, poetry is a mimetic art, an art of imitation. And according to Horace, it is an art that serves twofold purposes. It teaches and delights. So Sidney just refers to them to highlight the importance of poetry. Thus, a poet has a variegated role to play in moulding a society. So poets are not the antisocial group, but poet has a variegated role to play in the society. to uplift it, to moralize its citizens. Sidney classifies poets in 3 categories. Keep in mind, take note. How many categories? 3 categories. Religious poet, philosophical poet, and finally right poets. Okay. Who are the right poets? Who imitate for the purpose of teaching and delighting. They are the right poets. Here we will get the details. If I started reading the details, then I will get again exhausted and I cannot finish it. So just take the details note from here. Religious poets, philosophical poets, and right poets. There is a definition who are religious poet and example, and who are philosophical, who are right poets. Okay, you will get here. Again, Sidney differentiates between historians and poets in this respect. Sidney again differentiates philosophers and poets. So with other aspects, he has differentiated the poets and shows how poets are much superior than them. Sidney defends the value of poetry, as poetry has the power to move readers to virtuous actions. History and philosophy cannot store human emotion to that extent that poetry can. So in this respect, poetry combines both the liveliness and ethics of history and philosophy. 1586, Battle of Utophan. Sidney joined. We have already talked about this. And during this battle, Sidney was shot in his thigh and died of gangrene. A very severe, fatally he was wounded. And that injury was so fatal that he was died. 26 days later he had died at the age of only 32. The circular story, I have already told you the story. So you know that thy necessity is yet greater than mine. And Spenser mourns Sidney's death in his pastoral elegy, that is Astrophel. Now with this we finish our Sidney series, and it almost take 3 series. Sidney part 1, part 2 and part 3. And we discuss Sidney's life, important events and important works, and some information, mostly important information regarding them. And I have a desire to discuss Sidney's work again part by part. Arcadia, Apology for Poetry or Defense of Poetry, Astrophel and Stella. Let's see how far I can do that. And if you have any problem regarding anything, you must inform me by commenting below. Thank you.